The threat of climate change looms large, and there is an urgent need to make concentrated efforts towards decarbonization. On the hot seat today, we put the spotlight on climate tech startup Newtrace that aims to transform the global green hydrogen market. Now, Newtrace develops and manufactures innovative electrolyzers that aim to reduce the cost of green hydrogen production by over 60%. To tell us how, joining me now is its co-founder and CEO, Prasanta Sarkar. Prasanta, welcome to Startup Street. Newtrace manufactures and deploys electrolyzers that are key to the production of hydrogen. It is estimated that investments for hydrogen technology deployment must hit $1.2 trillion by 2030 in order to achieve net zero emissions, which represents a huge market opportunity for electrolyzers. So if you could elaborate on the pain point that you're solving, and if you could also give us some use cases.
Sure. Thank you, Shruti, for having me on the show. So in principle, hydrogen is a very important process and feedstock gas in the industries. In India itself, we produce around 5 million tons of hydrogen every year, and involved around 100 million tons. And primarily applications are in the refineries for processing the crude oil, for making industrial chemicals, for making fertilizer, which is a very key component. And there are two major pain points. All the hydrogen right now is being produced from natural gas, which means that we have to import natural gas to make all the hydrogen. The second pain point is basically the billion tons of CO2 emission that happens because of this whole annual production of 100 million tons of hydrogen.
Okay.
Right. And this is basically what Newtrace set out to solve for, because if you have to stop climate change, we have to really build solutions for the larger industrial segment and give them a cleaner and greener solutions.
All right. So tell me, Prasanta, how Newtrace is making green hydrogen production cheaper, scalable, and more efficient. And if you could also elaborate on your patent-pending electrolyzer technology.
Sure. So for us, the task is very simple. What we want to enable is basically the production of hydrogen from water and renewable electricity, and we should be at par or at cheaper than the fossil fuel-based hydrogen. And I think that then we have done the job. What we do is basically we leverage advances in precision fluid engineering to kind of produce and separate the oxygen and hydrogen, which means that we have developed the whole core technology indigenously in our country. And we have no dependence on any of the rare earth metals that the typical electrolyzer would have, or has any dependence on any critical components for which the supply chain is broken. So the whole core of technology, starting from the electrodes to the whole stack, has been developed by us from really readily available material, which means that we have drastically reduced the capex of the electrolyzers while also improving the operation efficiencies of the system. So for every unit of electricity that we are supplying to the electrolyzer, we are producing more and more hydrogen.
Sure. Also, you know, Prasanta, the National Green Hydrogen Mission was approved by the Union Cabinet in January last year with the objective of making India a leading producer and supplier of green hydrogen in the world and the creation of export opportunities. So what are the bottlenecks in achieving this target? Can you elaborate on the supply chain challenges?
Sure. So when the National Green Hydrogen Mission was discussed, there was discussions about mandate for industries like refineries and fertilizers. But it was never implemented because the major challenge was there were not enough supply of electrolyzers in the country to really scale those production of green hydrogen and offset the fossil fuel hydrogen. So this is what the industry has realized, that there is not enough electrolyzers. There are very few players who can manufacture electrolyzer. It's a very complex technology, and the supply chain are controlled by a few global players, and there is not enough supply of critical components and rare earth metal. So this is where the challenge would be in terms of finding those alternative technologies that has no dependence on any of the rare earth metal, something that we are trying to do, and also has no critical components reliance. What we also have working on is basically developing the local supply chain and vendor network in order to make and elevate their quality, the processes as per the global standards, so that we have enough supply, which is also creating business opportunities and employment into the market.
Sure. Now let's quickly talk about the recent fundraise of $5.65 million that you raised. Now with the fresh funds, tell me, how do you plan to drive expansion of Newtrace's electrolyzer manufacturing and deployment capabilities in India and the world?
Sure. So we are focusing right now on scaling our manufacturing. Making one unit is very simple. How do you make thousands of them in a year? And deploying at different parts of the country, as well as global deployments that we are planning towards the end of this year. Manufacturing itself is a very highly capex infrastructure game. And we are going to deploy a lot of this capital on scaling our manufacturing processes, solving for those supply chain and vendor capabilities, building redundancies in supply chain by finding alternatives, heavily investing on research and development to really improve the product and really make sure that we are making an industrial workhouse while streamlining the process for global deployments across US and Europe.
All right. One final question, if you could answer that quickly for us. Take me through the kind of partnerships you've built so far. What are the current business growth numbers, the reach that you've had so far? And again, I believe you're also looking to expand your solutions for long-term storage and conversion of green hydrogen and ammonia. So if you could elaborate a little bit on that too.
Sure. So currently we focus on working together with sectors like refineries. We are working with leading refineries, fertilizer units. And also there is a lot of interest that comes in from the mobility sector, and which is the long-haul mobility for trucks, buses, ships, and planes. And a key requirement there is a storage, which is a very difficult problem to solve. So we are working with different partners in order to find innovative processes of storing hydrogen and utilizing it just like how you fill up a petrol and diesel tank. Okay. So these are some of the work that is currently under development. Ammonia is also one of the interesting challenges where hydrogen can be converted and shipped for longer duration to regions where energy is not very easily available. All right. So a lot of different challenges there which we are trying to address as of now. Absolutely.